Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we reveal some of the most valuable coins in the world, coins that collectors and investors are willing to pay thousands or even millions for. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering that a single dusty wheat penny, something you've overlooked for decades, could be worth more than most people make in an entire year. In fact, one recent discovery of a 1956 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny sold for an astonishing $776,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin many Americans casually spent on gum or a bus ride is now commanding luxury home money. Welcome to the world where the simplest piece of copper can rewrite your financial destiny. But before we dive deeper, let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked the coins hiding in your own house? If your answer is never, don't worry, you're not alone. And you're about to discover exactly why that could be the most profitable oversight of your life. The story of the 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny begins like all legendary treasure stories, with something ordinary hiding something extraordinary. Most people know that pennies minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark. But what separates this 1956 penny from the millions of others is the rare combination of striking errors that only occurred in a tiny fraction of the batch. And while the majority of everyday pennies from 1956 are worth only a couple of bucks, this particular error variety has skyrocketed in the market. The fear of missing out is real, because collectors are hungry for it, investors are willing to pay top dollar for it, and the supply is shrinking faster than ever. And here's the part that keeps coin experts up at night. Every day, rare coins are being unknowingly spent at grocery stores, dropped in vending machines, or left behind in the pockets of old jeans thrown away. That includes the 1956 penny errors that could be worth nearly $1 million today. Yes, this is where fear becomes fuel, because the people cashing in on these discoveries aren't always experts. They're regular Americans who simply took the time to look at what makes this coin worth $776,000? It's not magic. It's not hype. It's the raw law of rarity plus demand. The 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny error is known for dramatic doubling on the obverse, unexpected die clashes, and a metallic purity that collectors fight over. These errors created a coin that looks different to trained eyes, and with today's technology, graders can authenticate these varieties with laser precision. That means the market has zero doubts and prices continue to climb. This leads to the explosion of excitement among collectors. Some call it the copper gold rush, because one discovery can radically change someone's financial path. Imagine owning a coin that cost 1 cent but sells for nearly $1 million. That's not just profit, that's transformation. That's college tuition paid in full, a down payment on a dream home, or the retirement lifestyle you've always envisioned. And here's a pattern interrupt for you. Who knew a penny could flex harder than your entire 401k? It's almost comical, right? But that's the beauty of numismatics, the world of rare coins. The unexpected becomes the inevitable. The overlooked becomes the sought after. And the humble penny becomes a symbol of abundance. As people rush to secure high-grade 1956 era pennies, demand surges even higher, leading experts to predict that the next auction could push this value beyond even today's jaw-dropping numbers. Yes, we are talking about upward trends, not plateaus. Now here's where the story becomes personal. Somewhere right now in America, maybe in an attic box, maybe in a jar next to someone's washing machine, maybe even in your home, there could be another 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny error worth a fortune. These coins continue to surface, and every time they do, they set new price records. That means the next one discovered could even cross the $1 million mark. But the biggest cliffhanger is this. Will the next life-changing find belong to someone else, or will it belong to you? Because here's the truth. Wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from recognizing hidden value, from being aware, from acting when others ignore the opportunity. And in the world of rare pennies, opportunity is knocking loudly. The market is hot. Collectors are buying aggressively. Auctions are competitive. And the door to this moment will not stay open forever. So what should you do next? Start searching. Start checking. Start evaluating every wheat penny you own, even the ones you're convinced are worthless. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $776,000 can be invisible until you look closely. And as you look, remember this. Every great discovery begins with curiosity. Every success story begins with action. And every person who now lives a wealthier, freer lifestyle because of a rare coin once stood exactly where you are right now, at the edge of possibility. This is your moment, your chance, your invitation to examine your pennies, discover what you truly have, and step into a world where small things create big wealth. The next $1 million penny is out there. Maybe it's already in your possession. The only question left is, will you find it before someone else does? Act 1 begins with the hook, and for this video, we're not holding back. Imagine this. Somewhere in a drawer, in a dusty jar, or in an old wooden box passed down from a relative, there may be a single copper coin. 1 cent, wheat-backed, barely larger than a thumbnail, that could be worth over $881,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 1940 wheat penny, no mint mark, a coin most people overlook without a second thought, has entered the spotlight of the coin-collecting world because of an extremely rare error variety, and its current market value has soared to nearly $900,000. Now, before you think that's a fairy tale, remember, every big coin find that made the news started the exact same way, with someone asking, could this old penny actually be worth something? And if you're holding on to old coins right now, your answer might be life-changing. This is where the story really begins. Back in 1940, the United States Mint was operating at full speed, producing billions of coins as the nation recovered from the Great Depression and watched the rising tensions overseas. Pennies were stamped in massive quantities, and the no-mint mark versions came from Philadelphia. Simple, ordinary, forgettable, until one shocking detail changed everything. A tiny error, invisible to the untrained eye, slipped into circulation. A striking misalignment, a doubling anomaly, or a planchet imperfection. Each detail creating a version of the 1940 penny so rare, so elusive, that collectors today compete fiercely for every authentic specimen they can find. With demand surging and supply shrinking, this coin has become the dream of every seller, the treasure hunter's obsession, and the golden ticket for those lucky enough to discover it. If that doesn't get your heart racing, check your pulse. But wait, before we dive deeper, let's pause for a moment. Have you ever wondered why people keep coins for decades but never check them? Maybe it's because we assume small things don't hold big value. Or maybe it's because most of us have already convinced ourselves we couldn't possibly be the lucky ones. But what if that mindset is the only thing standing between you and a six-figure payday? Act 2 moves us into the discovery. Picture a quiet Saturday afternoon. You open an old jar of pennies handed down from your grandparents. You expect nothing more than memories, maybe a little nostalgia. And suddenly, your eyes stop on a 1940 wheat penny. No mint mark, a darker tone, a sharper detail on the wheat stalks. Something feels different. For a moment, your mind races, and then you tell yourself, nah, probably nothing, and you almost toss it back. Almost. Little do you know, you may have just come within seconds of throwing away a fortune. Yes, a fortune worth $881,000. This is the power of awareness, the power of knowledge, the power of understanding that rare coins don't always look rare. They don't glow. They don't sparkle. They don't announce themselves like a lottery ticket. They hide in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. The 1940 no mint mark error penny is exactly that kind of coin. Its most valuable versions include dramatic die errors, off-center strikes, doubled features, or structural anomalies that were never meant to leave the mint. And because of its year, its composition, and its historical timing, collectors today pay top dollar to secure even a mid-grade example. High-grade, error-verified pieces? Those are the ones breaking records and redefining what a simple penny can be worth. Let's take a breath, because I know what you're thinking. But would I really have one? Isn't this too rare? Too impossible? Yet every year, new stories emerge. People cleaning out homes, children inheriting old coin books, retirees rediscovering jars filled with change. Ordinary people who never imagined owning anything valuable stumble into 5- or 6-figure treasures. And the clock is ticking because demand for these coins is at an all-time high. Collectors are not just interested, they're hungry. Auction houses are competitive. Appraisers are overwhelmed. And as more coins get graded and locked into private collections, the number available on the market shrinks. Scarcity rises, prices rise, and urgency becomes very real. Which brings us to Act 3, where the transformation and the opportunity becomes clear. Imagine what a rare penny worth nearly $1 million could do for your life. Paying off a mortgage, funding a child's education, starting a business, building the lifestyle you've dreamed of, comfortable, wealthy, free. It's not fantasy. It's not hype. It's the very real outcome that people across the country have already experienced. And now the question becomes, will you be next? Before we wrap up, let me ask you something unexpected. Here comes our pattern interrupt. If a tiny copper coin worth 1 cent could secretly be worth $881,000, does this mean your junk drawer is actually your retirement plan in disguise? Sounds funny, but hey, stranger things have happened. This is your moment. Your call to action is simple but powerful. Check your coins. Take out those jars. Look through the boxes you haven't touched in years. And if you find a 1940 no-mint mark wheat penny, don't hesitate. Don't wait. Don't assume the opportunity will still be there tomorrow. Because in the world of rare coins, timing is everything. Demand is rising. Values are climbing. And the next big payout may already be sitting in your home, waiting for you to discover it. And here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. In our next video, we're exploring another old penny, far less known, far more shocking, and with a market value that has stunned even seasoned collectors. If you think this $881,000 penny is unbelievable, wait until you see what's coming next. Act 1 opens with a spark, and today that spark is small, about 1 cent small. But don't let the size fool you, because right now, all across America, ordinary people are discovering that a simple wheat penny, yes, the kind you might have tucked in a jar, stored in your attic, or forgotten at the back of a drawer, could be worth more than an oceanfront condo. Imagine holding a penny that the market currently values at over $683,000. It sounds unbelievable, almost like a plot from a heist movie. But it's very real. And today we're diving deep into the story behind the legendary 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny, the errors, the rarity, the sky-high demand, and why collectors are paying life-changing money to get their hands on it. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your loose change? No, seriously, when? Because after this video, I guarantee you won't look at a penny the same way again. And who knows, maybe tonight is the night your fortune is hiding in your pocket. But hold on, don't go digging yet. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear may be the key to turning your old forgotten pennies into a foundation for a wealthier lifestyle. And trust me, once you hear the truth behind the 1941 treasure penny, you'll never ignore another coin again. Act 2 begins with a mystery. In 1941, the United States Mint produced millions of wheat pennies, most of them ordinary, except for a small group that would go on to become legends. These coins, struck without a mint mark, carry a subtle but powerful story, one shaped by wartime pressure, misaligned dies, and manufacturing rush that created some of the most valuable minting errors ever discovered. Because of these conditions, rare anomalies formed: off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and pressure misstrikes that left some coins with features collectors now consider priceless. These mistakes weren't meant to happen. They slipped through the cracks, escaped detection, and entered circulation quietly, like secret gold mines disguised as pocket change. Now here's where things get intense. Most people walk past these coins every day, unaware that a rare 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny sold for over $683,000. Think about what that means. A coin originally worth 1 cent now trading for more than a luxury sports car. And as demand surges among high-end collectors, many of whom are competing to secure the best-preserved examples, the market value keeps climbing. While some people fear inflation, others are quietly turning forgotten coins into financial stepping stones. And if you're thinking, could I be one of those people? The answer is simple: yes, if you know what to look for. But before I reveal the exact details of the most valuable error, hold on. You might want to take a deep breath, because once you hear this, you'll be checking every 1941 penny you own, every coin roll you touch, and every jar you lift. Here's your cliffhanger. The deadliest error, the one that transforms a penny into a small fortune, is so subtle that most people never notice it, even when it's right in their hand. But don't worry, you're about to know exactly what separates an ordinary coin from a gold mine. Act 3 brings everything full circle. The truth is, wealth doesn't always arrive in the form of massive properties, stock portfolios, or business deals. Sometimes, wealth arrives quietly in the most unexpected form, a copper coin struck in 1941. This penny, especially with high-value minting errors, has become a symbol of possibility. It represents the idea that anyone, anywhere, can uncover something extraordinary. And that's exactly why collectors are fighting to buy them. They're not just purchasing a coin, they're purchasing history, rarity, status, and the thrill of owning something nearly impossible to find. Imagine the moment you sell a rare penny for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine the freedom, the relief, the pride. Imagine telling your family that your journey to a wealthier lifestyle began with a coin no bigger than your thumbnail. That moment is real for many sellers today, and it can be real for you too. But only if you start searching, only if you start paying attention, and only if you don't underestimate the hidden value sitting right in front of you. Now, before we wrap up, let me ask you something unexpected. What if the next millionaire in your family isn't the person with the highest education, the biggest job, or the largest investments, but the person who simply took the time to examine an old penny? Strange thought, right? Almost funny. But history has a wild sense of humor, and sometimes, fortune favors the person holding a magnifying glass. So don't just watch this video and walk away. Tonight, go check your old piggy banks, your inherited boxes, your forgotten envelopes. Your 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny may already be waiting, and if it carries the right error, you could be sitting on a life-changing opportunity. This isn't a dream. It's the reality of today's coin market. High demand, rare errors, skyrocketing values, and collectors who are willing to pay top dollar. And you are now armed with the knowledge to take advantage of it. So stay curious, stay sharp, and don't underestimate the smallest things. Because sometimes, a penny can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and sometimes, it can be the spark that ignites an entirely new chapter of your life. Act 1 begins with a single spark, an unexpected moment that changes everything. Imagine this. You open an old forgotten box, maybe something passed down by a grandparent or tucked away in a drawer decades ago. Inside, among the dust and memories, lies a simple brown coin, a 1944 1-cent wheat penny with no mint mark. It looks ordinary, feels ordinary. But what if I told you this ordinary penny could be worth nearly $897,000 in today's market? Yes, you heard that right, almost $900,000 for a single cent suddenly. That little coin doesn't feel so ordinary anymore, does it? And that's exactly why collectors across the US are hunting for these rare pieces with an intensity usually reserved for gold rushes. As we journey deeper into this story, I want you to imagine someone, maybe even someone just like you, holding a coin that could completely change the trajectory of their financial future. Because today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny, the error that made history, and the unbelievable market demand that has investors scrambling. Before we continue, ask yourself this. What would you do if you found out a tiny coin in your home was worth more than most luxury cars? Hold that thought, because the truth is even more surprising than it sounds. Now Act 2 takes us into the heart of the mystery. The year was 1944. America was deep in the final stretch of World War II. The US Mint was working around the clock, producing millions of pennies using newly restored copper after the steel cent experiment of 1943. But in the chaos, something extraordinary happened. An error so rare, so unexpected, it slipped through the cracks of history. Some 1944 pennies were mistakenly struck using leftover steel planchets from the previous year, while others were produced using copper but without the expected mint mark. These anomalies created a distinct category of coins that collectors today treat like treasure. And here's where it gets even more thrilling. These rare pieces, especially the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny with unique error traits, have sold for up to $897,000 at high-end auctions. That's not hype, that's the current market reality. But before we go further, a quick pattern interrupt. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, wow, you could pay off my mortgage? Probably not. But after hearing this, you might never look at pocket change the same way again. And that's exactly how collectors develop the instinct to spot value hidden in plain sight. Every coin has a story, and the 1944 penny story is worth more than some people earn in 10 years. As demand for rare coins surges in the US, especially among investors aged 30 to 65 who want financial security, asset diversification, and a pathway to a wealthy lifestyle, the 1944 wheat penny has become a symbol of possibility. Auctions across the country confirm that collectors are paying top dollar, even aggressively fighting over the best-graded examples. And with the rise of rare asset buyers entering the market, values are climbing faster than ever. That penny you've ignored might be sitting in the exact sweet spot of historic timing, collector demand, and market scarcity. But here's the cliffhanger. Only a handful survive in high-grade condition, and one of them could be in your hands right now without you even knowing. Act 3 brings everything together. Picture this moment. Someone discovers a 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny in their inherited coin jar. They take it to an expert, who pauses, stares, and says, "Do you realize what you have here?" That exact moment creates a seismic shift, from curiosity to life-changing excitement. You could experience that same moment. And that's why it is crucial right now to check your collection, inspect every pre-1958 penny, and evaluate each one carefully. Because when a single coin can open the door to a wealthier lifestyle, you owe it to yourself to look. Before I reveal the final piece. Yes, another cliffhanger. Ask yourself this humorous but honest question. Is it possible that one of my coins is sitting there like a little millionaire pretending to be worthless? It sounds ridiculous, but it happens. More often than you'd believe. And if you've ever wanted to transform forgotten items into financial freedom, this is your window. So here's the final truth. The 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny with the documented error variety is not just highly valuable. It's an explosive demand right now. Its price has surged to $897,000, and experts predict increases as more collectors compete for the few surviving pieces. That means every old coin collection in America deserves a second look. It means your drawer, your safe, your inherited boxes may be holding something extraordinary. And it means your journey toward a wealthy, elevated lifestyle could begin with the simplest action. Checking a penny. Stay tuned for our next video, because we're about to dive into even rarer coins that turn everyday people into millionaires. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering that a single, ordinary-looking penny could change the entire course of your life. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet the 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny has been doing exactly that, sending shockwaves through the coin-collecting world as rare error examples now push astonishing market values, with elite specimens soaring to around $923,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for 1 cent. And if that number just made you sit up straighter, good. Because today, we're diving into the extraordinary story behind this small copper treasure. One that may be sitting quietly in your home right now. The truth is, thousands of Americans aged 30 to 65 have inherited jars of pennies, family collections, or dusty boxes tucked in attics. Most of them have no idea that a rare error coin from 1951, without a mint mark, could be the golden key to a far wealthier lifestyle. And as today's market surges with high demand for old and rare coins, the window of opportunity is wide open. But as you're about to see, that window won't stay open long. Now, before we dive into what makes this specific penny so valuable, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, you know what, maybe this one will make me rich? Probably not. Most people don't. But today, you just might start. Welcome to the world where tiny copper discs create massive financial breakthroughs. Let's begin with the foundation of this incredible story. The 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally didn't use mint marks for pennies. Most of these coins are common, tens of millions were minted. But hidden among those everyday coins are extraordinarily rare error varieties. These are the ones that collectors battle for: coins with misstrikes, off-center impressions, die breaks, double dies, and other minting anomalies that were never meant to leave the factory floor. These are the accidents that turned into gold mines. And here's where excitement really kicks in. because the most valuable 1951 wheat penny errors are now selling for sums that are absolutely life-altering. One elite example has reached a staggering $923,000. Imagine holding a penny that's worth more than a luxury home, or a lifetime of financial comfort, or your dream of living wealthy, traveling more, and finally having that sense of freedom most people only fantasize about. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because understanding how a simple coin becomes a six-figure powerhouse is part of the journey. And as you're about to see, the reason may be closer to your pocket than you think. As demand skyrockets for rare wheat pennies, the 1951 no-mint mark error coin has captured the spotlight. Collectors, investors, and auction houses are in a race. A high-stakes, fast-moving treasure hunt. Why? Because error coins from the early 1950s are disappearing from circulation, collections, and estates. Every year, fewer high-quality examples are available, and every year, auction prices climb. And here's where fear and urgency become very real. If you're sitting on old coins, especially inherited ones, and you don't check them, someone else eventually will. And that discovery could have been yours. Now you may be wondering, okay, but what exactly makes these errors so valuable? Great question, and I promise we'll get there. But first, a quick attention reset. If you're watching this while holding a jar of coins, do not dump them out yet. Not unless you want copper everywhere and a very irritated spouse. Been there. Collectors crave imperfections. A double die that makes the lettering appear shadowed. A dramatic off-center strike where part of the design is pushed off to the side. A die crack that creates a raised line across Lincoln's portrait. These errors transform an ordinary penny into a desirable, one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And since the 1951 no-mint mark pennies were made of solid copper, they tend to hold their condition surprisingly well, making high-grade error coins rare but incredibly resilient. The higher the grade, the higher the price. And that's how error specimens have climbed into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, with the current market peak brushing the $900,000 mark. And right now, the demand is at a level that many experts have never seen before. This is not just a trend. This is a moment, a financial wave. And you do not want to miss riding it. You've waited. And now we arrive at the heart of this journey. The question burning in your mind: could you be holding one of these ultra-rare error pennies? The answer is simple: absolutely. Anyone can. These pennies show up in old coffee cans, estate boxes, dresser drawers, and childhood collections. Ordinary families are discovering extraordinary wealth when they finally take a closer look. And here's your cliffhanger moment. Because the biggest mistake people make is assuming they don't have anything valuable. They put the coins back in storage. They forget them. And then, years later, someone else finds them, someone with the knowledge you're gaining right now. But imagine the opposite. Imagine you take action. Imagine the moment you discover that your 1951 wheat penny, your dusty, forgotten penny, is actually one of the rare error types worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine selling it to a collector, an investor, or an auction house that's ready to compete for it. Imagine how that money shifts your life into a new gear. A gear where wealth isn't a dream. It's your new normal. Because that is exactly what's happening for everyday Americans who finally check their old coins. They're stepping into a lifestyle of financial ease, travel, comfort, and opportunity. All thanks to the smallest coin in American history. Now let's close with the most important truth of all. Opportunities like this don't wait. The market moves. Prices rise. Supplies disappear. And the people who succeed in the world of rare coins are always the ones who act while others hesitate. Somewhere out there, a 1951 no-mint mark wheat penny with a rare error, worth up to $923,000, is waiting to be found. The only question left is, will it be found by someone else? Act 1 opens with a question most people never ask themselves, yet it has the power to change their financial future. What if I told you that a single old penny, one that might already be sitting quietly in a drawer, a jar, or even forgotten in a box of family belongings, could be worth nearly $1 million today? Yes, a penny. 1 cent. The 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny, a legendary treasure in the coin world, recently valued around an incredible $958,000. As unbelievable as it sounds, This tiny piece of copper has become one of the most sought-after rarities in the United States. And the real question you should be asking right now is simple. Could you be holding one without even knowing it? Our story begins in the early 1950s, a time when the American dream felt tangible and a penny truly stretched far. But something unusual happened at the Philadelphia Mint that year. A production anomaly, unnoticed at the time, gave birth to one of the most valuable wheat pennies ever discovered. For decades, collectors whispered about it, searching relentlessly. Some believed it was myth, others a hidden opportunity waiting to be uncovered. And somewhere out there, one of these rare pennies ended up in circulation, possibly into the hands of ordinary people, people just like you. If your heart is starting to beat a little faster, good. That means you understand what's at stake. Because the next 10 minutes just might rewrite the story of your own financial life. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you this. When was the last time you actually checked the dates on the coins in your home? And no, shaking the jar doesn't count. Most people ignore their old pennies, assuming they're nothing but pocket change. But million-dollar opportunities rarely announce themselves. They hide, quietly, waiting for someone curious, someone ready. And that someone could be you. But hold that thought, because what I'm about to reveal next may surprise you even more. Act 2 carries us straight into the heart of the mystery. The 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny is valuable not merely because of age or historical significance, but because of a combination of scarcity, condition, and an extraordinarily rare error. Some of these coins left the mint with subtle yet powerful anomalies, tiny imperfections that transform them into numismatic gold. Imagine that. A mistake made more than 70 years ago now worth enough to purchase a luxury home, a high-end sports car, or fund a retirement you actually look forward to. You can feel the excitement rising, can't you? That energy is real, and collectors feel it every day. But here's where things get even more intense. Not all 1952 pennies are created equal. Some may look ordinary, but under magnification reveal variants that push their value past six figures. The idea that a penny on your dresser could be worth hundreds of thousands might sound like wishful thinking. Yet that's exactly how several collectors felt before discovering what their coins were truly worth. One man thought he had an ordinary wheat penny until a grader evaluated it and confirmed a unique die error. His life changed with a single phone call. And yes, we'll talk about the value in just a moment, but let's keep a little suspense. After all, you didn't come here for the ordinary. You came here for the extraordinary. Now, quick pattern interrupt. Have you ever rummaged through your pennies and found one so dirty you wondered if it had survived the Great Depression, 3 World Wars, and possibly a toddler's pocket? Don't throw those away. That ugly duckling may be hiding features that only experts can see. And trust me, experts are very interested right now. Demand for rare wheat pennies has never been higher. Collectors, investors, auction houses, they're all hunting for the next big discovery. And the market is on fire. But stay with me because Act 3 is where everything pulls together, and it's the part you cannot afford to miss. Act 3 brings us to today, your moment, your opportunity. The current market value for the rarest form of the 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny stands at an astonishing $958,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a coin you could easily overlook. The demand is skyrocketing, scarcity is increasing, and prices are only moving one direction: up. People across the United States are waking up to the power of the coins they already own, and the smartest among them are taking action. Because while some will watch opportunities pass by, the wealthy act early. They recognize value before the world catches on. And here's the real emotional trigger. Imagine discovering that the one thing standing between you and a life-changing financial breakthrough was a coin you've had for years. Imagine paying off debts, elevating your lifestyle, securing your future, and creating the comfort you've always talked about but haven't yet claimed. That's the reality rare coins create for those who dare to look. But here comes the cliffhanger, and yes, this one matters. The 1952 wheat penny isn't the only coin out there capable of transforming your finances. In fact, there are several other coins hiding in plain sight with values that would shock you even more.
Coin worth millions.
Coins that collectors are literally competing to obtain. And in my next video, I reveal exactly which ones you should be searching for before someone else finds them first. So check your pennies. Examine every detail. Because the story of the rare 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny isn't just about history or error coins. It's about possibility. It's about wealth hiding in the most unexpected places. And above all, it's about people like you realizing that extraordinary opportunities don't just happen to others. They can happen to you, today, in your own home, with the simplest of treasures. If you're ready to uncover more high-value coins and step into a wealthier chapter of your life, make sure you watch the next video. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Imagine waking up to discover that the tiny brown penny sitting in the back of your dresser drawer, ignored for decades, is actually worth more than a luxury home. A single cent turning into $657,000. Sounds unbelievable, right? But before you dismiss it, let me tell you something important. The rare 1953 D-mint mark wheat penny has shocked the coin-collecting world with error varieties so valuable they've created overnight millionaires. And if you've ever held on to old coins, one of them might be yours. Today, we're going to uncover why this penny has become the obsession of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters, and why people across the US are scrambling to check their coin jars before someone else beats them to the jackpot. Act 1 begins with a story. It's 1953 in Denver. The US Mint is buzzing. Machines hammering coins by the millions, workers racing to keep up with demand. But in that high-pressure rush, something unusual happened, something no one noticed at the time. A small handful of pennies left the mint not quite right. And these tiny slip-ups, microscopic flaws invisible to the untrained eye, would one day transform into some of the most valuable coins ever found. Fast forward decades later. A man sorting through his late father's coin collection stumbles upon one of these mysterious 1953 D wheat pennies. But instead of tossing it aside, he gives it one last curious look. That look leads to an appraisal. And that appraisal leads to a staggering six-figure valuation that will change his life. So before you say, well, I don't have anything like that, ask yourself this. Have you really checked? Now, Act 2 pulls us into the heart of the story. The why. Why is this penny so valuable? It's not just old. It's rare in a very specific way. Some 1953 D cents were struck using misaligned dies, double dies, die cracks, off-centers, and extreme minting errors that shouldn't exist. These errors created distortions on the coin, subtle doubling on the date, unusual shapes on the D-mint mark, raised lines where none should be, or even entire missing design elements. And in the world of numismatics, these imperfections are perfection. Collectors crave them the way investors crave gold. When scarcity meets demand, value explodes. That's exactly what happened here. And right now, the market for these error coins is heating up, faster than ever. Every month, another high-grade example hits the market and stuns investors with jaw-dropping prices. Which raises the big question. Why are so many people suddenly willing to pay a fortune? Maybe it's because old coins feel like the last hidden treasure left in America. Maybe it's because people are waking up to the fact that small, overlooked things can hold enormous value. Or maybe, and this is the part that should give you chills, it's because there are so few high-grade 1953 D errors known to exist that collectors are locked in a bidding war, pushing prices higher and higher. You're about to see exactly how high. Act 3 is where everything ties together. Right now, the highest-graded 1953 D wheat penny error is valued at $657,000, with collectors actively searching for more examples. Auction houses are seeing fierce competition, and private buyers are hunting aggressively. If you think this is hype, think again. The numbers don't lie. The desire for rare wheat pennies has never been stronger, and the financial upside has never been more explosive. And here's the part that should create a sense of urgency in your chest. The supply of these coins is locked in the past. 1953 is over. No more will ever be created. Every day, as more coins get lost, damaged, or mishandled, the value of surviving errors climbs. People aren't waiting. They're acting. The only question is, will you? Humor me for a second. How many times have you dumped coins into those supermarket coin machines without checking? Go on, admit it. If you've ever fed those machines, this might be the moment you regret it. Because hidden inside any handful of pennies could be the one that turns into the down payment on your dream home, the spark for your new business, or your well-deserved entry into a wealthier life. And in a world where everyone is chasing big opportunities, nothing is more satisfying than discovering one that has been sitting in your own pocket. Now let me ask you a cliffhanger question. What if I told you that some of the rarest 1953 D-penny errors don't look dramatic at all? What if they're so subtle you could hold one in your hand right now and never realize its potential? In a moment, I'm going to tell you the two most overlooked error markers no one talks about, markers that have turned ordinary-looking pennies into six-figure windfalls. But before we get to that, let's talk about why this market is becoming one of the hottest alternative investments in America. Collectors, investors, and even everyday families are turning toward rare pennies as a hedge, just like art, gold, or real estate, because their value doesn't follow the stock market. When the economy shifts, physical collectibles often rise, and the wheat penny market is booming with confidence. If you own one of these rare coins, you're not just holding a piece of metal. You're holding a piece of American history that appreciates with time. That is why the demand for 1953 D errors is off the charts. Serious buyers don't hesitate because hesitation means missing the next $657,000 sale. Alright, back to the cliffhanger. Those two overlooked errors? The first is an extremely tight doubling on the 3 in the date, almost ghost-like, barely visible unless tilted under direct light. The second is a subtle die clash behind Lincoln's profile, a whisper-thin imprint of the memorial building that shouldn't exist on wheat pennies at all. These are the kinds of details that transformed average people into six-figure sellers. Which means the next person could be you. So here's your moment of action, the moment that separates the viewers who just watch from the viewers who win. If you have old wheat pennies, especially from the 1950s, now is the time to check them. Don't wait. Don't assume. Don't leave potential wealth sitting in a jar. The rare 1953 D-era penny has already changed lives, and the market shows no signs of slowing down. Your financial breakthrough might be sitting closer than you think. If you're ready to learn more, sell your rare coins, or discover hidden value in the collection you already own, make sure you keep watching this channel. Your wealthy lifestyle doesn't begin in the future. It begins the moment you decide to take action. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering a single penny. A penny so rare, so extraordinary, that it could be worth more than a luxury home. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, stay with me, because today, we're diving deep into the incredible story, hidden errors, and jaw-dropping value of the 1954 D-wheat penny. A coin that has shocked the collector market by reaching a staggering $893,000 in value. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own stash, because you might be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Welcome to a world where small copper coins can rewrite your financial future. Our story begins in the mid-1950s at the Denver Mint, where millions of ordinary Lincoln wheat cents were produced. Most of them were everyday coins, the kind you wouldn't look twice at. But among them, a microscopic handful slipped through the cracks, coins with errors so rare that experts still debate how they happened. And one of these mysterious survivors, a 1954 D-penny, shattered expectations by selling for close to $900,000. Yes, a 1-cent coin turning into nearly $1 million. You might be thinking, how? Why? And do I have one? Those questions are exactly why you need to stay with me until the end, because the answer might surprise you. Before we go further, pause for a moment and picture it. Your old childhood coin jar, your late grandfather's drawer, or that dusty tin in the attic. Imagine the possibility that inside it, without you even realizing it, could be a coin collectors would practically battle for. But don't go running to your attic just yet. You need to know what makes this coin so special, or you might miss the very signs that create life-changing value. Now let's uncover the secret. The 1954 D-wheat penny didn't become valuable because of its date alone. No, the real treasure lies in the rare minting errors, the kinds that happen once, maybe twice, and never again. One such error involves severe doubling on the obverse, misaligned die marks, and unexpected anomalies that experts say reveal a chaotic moment during production. These anomalies transformed an ordinary penny into a numismatic legend. And here's where the excitement builds. because these aren't errors that only trained eyes can detect. These are bold, unusual features you can actually spot. The kind of visual shock that stops collectors in their tracks. The kind of error that pushes a penny from pocket change into the realm of 5- and 6-figure sales. And in the rarest cases, nearly $1 million. At this point, you might be asking yourself, could I really be sitting on one of these? Well, let me give you a surprising fact. Almost every year, new high-value wheat pennies are discovered by regular people. A retired mechanic found one in a coffee can. A young woman found hers while sorting coins with her kids. And no, before you ask, none of them expected anything special. Yet those tiny discoveries turned into massive life upgrades. Now, before we reveal the exact features that made the $893,000 penny so valuable, let me interrupt your thoughts with one quick question. Have you ever thrown away a penny because it seemed worthless? If so, don't worry, you're not alone. But after today, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. And now the moment you've been waiting for: what exactly made that record-breaking 1954 D penny worth such enormous money? The answer is a combination of rarity, condition, and a dramatic mint error that simply shouldn't exist. Picture a coin with deep, clear doubling on the date, an unusually sharp D mint mark placement, and a uniquely struck design that instantly sets it apart from every other penny of its time. When presented at auction, it ignited fierce bidding wars, pushing its value upward until it landed just shy of $900,000. A penny, worth nearly $1 million. But here's the true revelation. The market for rare wheat pennies is hotter now than ever before. Collectors are paying more, auctions are rising, and coins once considered interesting are now reaching extraordinary prices. In other words, your timing couldn't be better. And here's your cliffhanger: there is a very specific reason that the value of the 1954 D penny and other rare wheat pennies is skyrocketing right now. But to understand that market shift, you first have to ask yourself, are you ready to look at your coins with the same eyes as elite collectors? Because the moment you do, everything changes. Suddenly, every old coin becomes a possibility. Every dusty jar becomes a treasure chest. And every penny becomes a chance at a wealthier lifestyle. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this empowering truth. Wealth doesn't always come from the obvious sources. Sometimes it comes from the smallest places, like a single copper coin minted 70 years ago. And if that coin could be worth $893,000, imagine what else might be sitting right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. If you're ready to learn how to identify more of these rare pennies, how to evaluate your coins, and how to potentially turn forgotten cents into life-changing dollars, make sure you stay tuned for our next video, because that's where the real treasure hunt begins. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old coffee jar, pulling out a worn-out wheat penny, and realizing it's worth more than most luxury cars. Sounds impossible, right? Well, the 1956 D wheat penny with a rare mint error recently shocked the coin collecting world, with a real-world market value reaching an astounding $763,000. Yes, $763,000 for a single cent. And before you think this is one of those once-in-a-blue-moon stories, let me stop you right there, because today you might discover that the penny hiding in your drawer isn't just old. It's a hidden fortune waiting to be claimed. Now let's be honest. Most people see a penny and roll their eyes. But you and I, we understand that wealth isn't always found where everyone else is looking. Sometimes it's right there, hiding in plain sight, disguised as something you've walked past for years. And if you stay with me through this video, you're not just going to learn what makes the 1956 D wheat penny so valuable. You'll learn exactly what separates the pennies worth a few dollars from the ones worth life-changing money. And trust me, you don't want to miss the details, because just one overlooked feature can swing the value from a couple bucks to hundreds of thousands. Act 1. The discovery. Let's take a journey back to 1956, a time when the American dream was booming, families were growing, and the Denver Mint was working overtime producing pennies for a rapidly expanding nation. But inside that bustling mint, a rare mechanical mishap produced a handful of pennies, unintentional masterpieces, really coins with doubling effects so subtle yet so powerful that decades later, collectors would compete fiercely just to own one. If you've ever wondered how ordinary people stumble into incredible wealth, the story of this penny is the perfect reminder that the biggest opportunities are often born from the smallest mistakes. And here's where our first cliffhanger arrives, because the error responsible for the $763,000 valuation isn't just any doubling. It's a dramatic, unmistakable, high-impact doubling visible across the date, the mint mark, and critical lettering. But before I reveal exactly what it looks like and how you can check your own pennies, pause and think for a moment. When was the last time you actually examined a penny instead of shoving it into the bottom of your purse or pocket? If your answer is never, stay with me, because the next few minutes might be the most profitable attention you've ever paid. ACT2, the anatomy of value. Now, let's look deeper into what gives this coin its enormous price tag. First, rarity. Only a microscopic fraction of the total 1956 D pennies ever minted contain the high-grade doubling error. Imagine a sea of over 1 billion pennies, and hidden within that ocean are only a few perfect diamonds. Second, condition. To command over $700,000, the coin must be in extraordinary state, sharp, preserved, pristine. And third, demand. And let me tell you, demand for dramatic double-die errors in wheat cents is not just high, it's ferocious. Serious collectors will pay staggering prices to secure these coins before anyone else even knows they exist. But here's the twist, and yes, another cliffhanger, because even if your penny isn't in flawless condition, it can still hold massive value if the error is strong enough. So the real question becomes, how do you know whether your penny is a jackpot or just pocket change? And this right here is where most sellers miss out. They get rid of their coins too quickly, they overlook details, or worse, they never even look closely enough. I'm going to walk you through the exact markers, but first, a quick pattern interrupt. If checking your pennies sounds tedious, remember, people scroll through social media for hours and get nothing out of it. Here, a few seconds with a magnifying glass could pay for a house. Suddenly doesn't seem so tedious, does it? ACT3, the transformation. So let's talk identification. The double-die error on the legendary 1956 D shows bold, unmistakable doubling on the numbers 1, 9, 5, and 6. The D mint mark is sharply doubled as well, sometimes offset so clearly that even someone with no coin experience can spot it instantly. Strong doubling also appears on Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see thicker edges, shadowed letters, or a ghost-like second impression, stop everything. That penny could change your life. And speaking of life-changing, here's the moment you've been waiting for. In today's market, confirmed examples of this rare 1956 D double-die cent have sold for up to $763,000, and experts predict values could rise even higher as collectors continue battling for the few surviving specimens. Imagine selling a penny for the price of a luxury home, or funding your retirement with a coin most people would ignore. That's not fantasy. That's today's reality. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if I don't have the 1956 D? What if mine isn't perfect? And this is where the urgency comes in. Every week, thousands of old coins disappear into circulation, go into counting machines, or end up lost forever. The people who win in this game are the people who act now, not later, not someday now. Search your jars. Check your inherited collections. Examine every wheat penny you come across. Because the truth is, the 1956 D isn't the only valuable one. But it might be the one sitting in your home right this second. So let me leave you with this final thought. Wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it clinks. And sometimes it sits quietly in a dusty box until the right person knows how to see its true worth. You are that person now. You know what to look for. And your journey toward uncovering rare, valuable, life-changing coins begins the moment this video ends. If you're ready to dive deeper into the world of high-value pennies and want to learn which other coins are selling for hundreds of thousands right now, stay tuned for the next video. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Imagine reaching into an old drawer, an attic box, or a forgotten jar of spare change and pulling out a single penny. Yes, a 1-cent coin. That could be worth over $765,000 today. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, stay with me because the 1958 D wheat penny with a rare minting error is doing exactly that for collectors across the country. And one of these could be hiding in your home right now. Let's begin this journey with a question that might shake you a little. When was the last time you actually looked at your old coins? Not just glanced, but really inspected them? Because right now, in the United States, a quiet treasure hunt is happening. Everyday Americans are discovering life-changing wealth in the most unexpected place. Their penny collections. And if you think this doesn't apply to you, think again. Act 1 begins in 1958, inside the roaring machinery of the Denver Mint. The wheat penny era was coming to a close, and no one, including the mint workers, knew that a small but extraordinary mistake was about to take place. A mistake so rare, so precise, and so historically significant that it would transform a simple copper coin into a six-figure masterpiece. While millions of pennies rolled off the presses, a tiny number carried something different, an anomaly that collectors would spend decades trying to find. And this specific 1958 D-Mint error would eventually shock the entire numismatic world. Now, before we move deeper, let me ask you something. If you found out you had a penny worth a luxury home, would you sell it immediately or hold it like a winning lottery ticket? Think about it, because that's exactly the emotional position collectors today are finding themselves in. And yes, you could be next. As we transition into Act 2, the story grows more intense because this isn't just about a rare penny, it's about the opportunity it represents. The 1958 D-Wheat penny with a dramatic double-die error is one of the most aggressively hunted coins in America. Collectors aren't just looking for it, they're competing for it. Auction houses, private investors, wealthy collectors, and high-end dealers are all battling to secure even one example. When a specimen hit the market at $765,000, the coin world didn't just applaud. It exploded. You may be wondering what makes this particular error so valuable. After all, mint errors happen all the time. But not like this. The doubling on this 1958 D is so bold, so unmistakable, and so visually striking that the moment someone sees it, they don't ask whether it's real. They ask how soon they can bid on it. Add to that the staggering rarity. Only a microscopic number are confirmed to exist, and suddenly you're looking at one of the most desired Lincoln cents ever struck. This is the kind of coin that investors dream about. The kind that people sell to upgrade their homes, pay off mortgages, buy new cars, and change their lifestyle entirely. But here's where the urgency comes in. Demand is exploding right now. More Americans, especially those between the ages of 30 and 65, are finally realizing their old coins could be worth life-changing money. And as demand rises, so does the value. Coins that once sold for tens of thousands are now selling for hundreds of thousands. Remember, millionaires are being made off rare pennies. Today, not in the distant future. Let me interrupt your thoughts with something funny for a second. Isn't it wild that some people are out there chasing cryptocurrencies and mystery tokens, while a lucky handful are turning actual copper pennies into fortune-tier collectibles? Imagine telling someone you became wealthy because of a 1-cent coin. That's a flex you don't hear every day. Act 3 brings everything together, and here's where it gets truly exciting and a bit suspenseful. Because right now, somewhere in America, someone is sitting on a 1958 D-Wheat penny error without realizing its worth. It might be tucked away in a family coin album, or resting quietly in an inherited collection. It might be in a jar of random old pennies that hasn't been opened in decades. And yes, it might even be with you. As we approach the final moments, I want you to understand this. Opportunities like this don't last forever. Coins get found. Collections get broken apart. High-end buyers secure what they want and lock them away in private vaults. The window to benefit from this demand, this upward market trend, will not stay open indefinitely. What if I told you that hidden within the details of the 1958 D penny, within its date, its lettering, its mint mark, its doubling, lies a visual cue so powerful that even a beginner can spot it instantly? What if I told you that you could identify a potential six-figure penny in less than 30 seconds? As long as you know exactly what to look for. In the next chapter of this journey, I'm going to reveal those visual markers, the real method collectors use to verify this legendary error, and how you can check your own coins with absolute confidence, and possibly unlock the most valuable penny of your lifetime. So don't look away. Don't click off. The knowledge you're about to get could be the exact key you need to step closer to a wealthy, financially free lifestyle built on something as small as a single penny.